So before we go any further, do make sure you've been saving your work. Just click the little save icon, click it OK, and there you are. So now we've got these 4 different bodies, okay, for our 4 different layers that we've created, making up our product. So just as it would be in real life, made out of 4 pieces. What we haven't got is we don't have an LED and we don't have a button, a push button. We've got the hole for the battery, but we've got nothing to push down on the battery. So we're just going to go ahead and add that in. So to do that, because I've chosen a battery shaped hole, I'm going to, I've chosen a circle for this. I'm going to use a circle for the button as well. Obviously, you don't have to have a circular button. Obviously, if you modify your drawing according to what you've created. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a new sketch, okay, and I'm going to draw my new sketch on the top surface here. So you're not choosing one of these planes, these 3 planes, you're actually putting the sketch onto the top of your drawing. It'll turn to face you. Now, what I can do is, whatever shape I've drawn here, it could be a circle, could be a square, could be all manner of things, but I can reproduce that just by pressing the O button on my keyboard. And if I then click this here, O is what's known as offset. In other words, whatever shape you've drawn, it will allow you to offset to make a bigger or smaller copy of the exact same shape. So what I want is a circle that fits inside that, but I want it to be a really tight fit. So if you'll notice in the little box that's got the sizes, it's saying, -4. That means that would be like a almost 5mm gap all the way around. I want a tiny, tiny gap so it just fits in, not even 0.3 of a millimeter. So I'm going to change that to minus 0.05, something like that, really, really tiny. And then I'm going to click OK. And that just puts a circle in that space for me. What I can do with that circle is I can now press my extrude button. Let's go to our home view. And obviously I can extrude that shape, but I don't want it sticking up particularly. I mean, you could, but it mostly needs to go down. You could have it going part up and part down. So I'm going to say -3 as my sort of standard thing, and check it's saying new body, remember that from before, and click OK. That puts that button in for me. I could, if I wanted it to come up a little bit, you could adjust that. So if I go into the bottom here and I right click on that extrusion, I can edit the feature. I could say I want it to be in 2 sides and I want it to go down 3, but I also want it to come up 2. So you could do something like that. Oh, now that doesn't seem to be working to me. Let's just have a look and see. Maybe, there we are. That would have to do that one, would it? Yeah, so strangely they both come out as minus figures anyway. But you don't need to be, to be honest, you don't need to be worrying about that. It's perfectly okay for your button to just sit at the, sits in that space. So it would push down on your battery, okay? Final thing that we need to do is just go ahead and draw in our little imitation LED. Now I'm going to be drawing that in this space, so I'm just going to turn off some of those other bits and make life a little bit easier for me. I'm drawing on this surface here, so I'm going to press my C for circle. I'm going to click on, it doesn't matter where you click, you've got effectively those 4 parts. Just click on one of those and it will put it in the right place. And then if you zoom in a little bit, you might find, if you go down to your styles and just put on the visible edges, now it makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. There's the outer edge of that sort of whole thing. So I kind of want to aim for the middle-ish of that area. And I'm just going to pull that out to 5 mm, okay, and click OK. And then we're going to extrude, of course. So every time we draw a sketch, which is just the line, we need to extrude it out. Now this is a slightly funny one. You'll need to make sure you've selected the whole thing. Otherwise, as you pull it forwards, if I just cancel that and show you again, if you just select that, okay, will it even let us pull that? Let's try. If you just select that, it's only going to pull part of the thing. Okay, so make sure you're getting the whole item. When you press your E, you've got that and that. Pull those forward, and it comes forward by 6 millimeters also. And just remember, we don't want to join it, otherwise it's going to get kind of glued to our other pieces. So we're going to say that's a new body, and then we're going to press F for fillet. Sorry, let's just finish that off first. Click OK. Then we're going to press F for fillet, and the fillet we're going to put on is 2.5, and that will make that nice and rounded at the front. And then the final thing we're going to do is we're going to choose our appearance. We're going to go in and find the plastics, and I kind of want something that looks like a LED bulb. Let's go to the transparent. I'm going to try that sort of orangey toned one there. Either that or the red. I'm not too sure. One or the other. That looks a bit like an LED, doesn't it? Okay, and then I can close that down. Then let's go back and see what I've got. I'm going to turn my lines off so I can just see shaded. Okay, oops, let's try that again. Visual style, I just want shaded for everything. I can put my other components back in place by going onto those, and there you go. Of course, I can always use that F button to put a little fillet around the top of this, so that might look a little bit cooler if I do something like that. And I might put a little fillet around these edges, just something small, just like a millimeter should be enough. And I can do that on that bottom one as well. So that's F for fillet, type in the amount, press enter, and there you go. You've got a pretty cool looking mini light, right? Nice and smooth, comfortable to hold, space for the LED, space for the battery, and there we are. Let's click save, and we're done with 99.9% of it now. Okay, well done.